Very pleasant Thursday morning to you. Welcome once again to Untengle on the Bridge 99 FM. A very pleasant morning to you, Richie B and the Up and Go crew. You all have yourselves a wonderful day, and a special morning to all those gathered on the Bridge Nation. Good morning, and a very special morning to Team Untengle. And it is time for us to untangle the trending with producer Lafaine Wiggan. Lafaine, are you dead here?
I'm dead here.
I see you, but I'm not hearing you.
I am here. I'm here. You hearing me?
Yes, I hear you a little better. Turn up whatever you just turned on a while ago.
All right.
All right.
Well, I know really me I control it still, but
No, look here now. Kevin, you know where Kevin always tell me if turn down. So every time I turn down, that me turn down myself too, you know. But anyway, moving right along.
that's all right.
So I'm not hearing you loud enough, Lafaine. Oh, we're going to deal with that.
You hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you much better now. I don't know if I true me just turn up something, but anyway. Mr. Kevin him soon start text me now. No, all right. So what is our trending story today?
Yes, indeed. So, following up on our last trending story about the massive increase that was granted to elected officials in Jamaica, our Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he has decided to forego his hefty salary increase, and though it will have no impact on the current members of the political directorate, former prime ministers will not be so lucky. So, Minister of Finance Dr. Nigel Clark on yesterday, told a post-cabinet media briefing that the decision by Mr. Holness means the salary for the holder of the office of the Prime Minister will not move from its roughly $9 million per annum at present to almost $29 million per annum by April 2024, and that was the decision that was taken. No, this would mean that former Prime Ministers PJ Patterson and Portia Simpson Miller, whose pensions are indexed to the full salary of the sitting head of government, will not see their pensions moved, and the same would apply.
Sorry, Lafaine, I don't cut you. Read that part again, please.
This would mean that former Prime Ministers PJ Patterson and Portia Simpson Miller, whose pensions are indexed to the full salary of the sitting head of government, will not see their pensions move. So if he had accepted the increase, then they would have gotten an increase in their pensions as well. So, yeah.
So let me see if I'm understanding. It's the fact that he has decided not to accept the salary.
Right.
Does it hold good for all prime ministers who take that position, or is it just a personal decision?
Well, for the ones that would come after him, then it would impact them. So whatever he does, that would have an impact on the pensions of the former prime ministers and then the salary of the prime ministers that would come after him. Right.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
So I don't know if so we're moving from a situation where it was ridiculous on one hand because it was a 214% increase, to another situation where it's ridiculous on the other hand because no MP is going to get more than the Prime Minister.
Exactly. So
I mean, can common sense raise its hand, please?
I mean, when I saw it, I said, all right. I don't know if it's a PR stunt or whatever the case may be, because he was saying at the press briefing, that's Mr. Holness, that he's standing in solidarity with the people of Jamaica and all of that. So that's why he decided not to accept the increase.
You know, that's the question I would like our listeners to zoom in on.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? Is it really solidarity with struggling Jamaicans, or is he yielding to local, international, diaspora,
Exactly.
a whole heap of
Pressure.
Is it the power of the people talking, or is it really the solidarity with the struggling
I
people
think it's the
talking?
power of the people, because why is it that you did not reject it or decide not to accept it from the beginning? You were okay with it till everybody started cry out and say, no sir, this not right.
But can I tell you something though, Lafaine? These people are getting so obvious, it's embarrassing.
Yes, that's what it is.
Honestly, it is embarrassing. because I don't know even a diehard person
Mm-hmm.
who would genuinely think that this is a salary that you approve.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're the Prime Minister of the
Exactly.
land. So
Exactly.
you must have approved the salary.
Right.
At what point, my question would be, did you realize that people were struggling?
Exactly.
And that you should
And that
really-
you needed to stand in
and that
solidarity
you
with
needed
them.
to stand in solidarity. At what point? I would love to find that out.
and
because-
is he the only one that now finally has a conscience to say, okay, let me stand in solidarity with the people? What about the others? They don't need to stand in solidarity. I guess they're fine. So it's okay. You guys accept it, man. It's good. Me, we just not, because he's the face. So I guess they're hoping that people will say, you know what? Oh gosh, man, him feel away. Him now, but I take it. But the others are fine.
exactly. His team.
Exactly. And some way, shape, or form, he probably will get some additional benefits. So that's just, the blanket we kind of appease people, so to speak.
I don't know which one worse. I don't know if taking the salary worse than coming out and saying, boy, me now, but I take it. Because let me tell you something. A lot of pressure has been mounting.
Yes, definitely.
And no matter how them not listening to us, when the diaspora
Yes.
and the international
Yes.
community start to talk,
Problem.
then you start to listen.
Problem. Because then that's
Because-
your image.
Yes, because there's a newscaster, a British newscaster, probably you saw it, and he was talking about the pay increase.
Right.
And he was mentioning that the British Prime Minister in 2021 was getting £157,372, of course, in addition to
Right.
allowances.
Right.
And he mentioned that the Jamaican Prime Minister, this is a British news report,
Right.
he mentioned that the Jamaican Prime Minister, and he used the words, gave himself a 214% increase in salary with his gross pay. Of course, we know the details,
Right.
moving from 9.1 to 28.6.
Right.
And he translated the equivalent in pounds, and it was £149,175. And he made sure to mention that this is approximately £10,000 less than that of the British Prime Minister. But what is more important to note is that the UK had the sixth largest economy in the world.
Right. Right.
The Jamaican economy was the 113th out of 195.
Exactly.
So what is the justification?
Right.
Up from where does this salary
Right.
come from?
Exactly. And that was my initial question as well. How do you justify this massive increase, right? So if everybody wants an increase, but
Yes.
this jump, like, it was just unconscionable.
And you know something though, you know what this should at least teach the rest of us? That you have to be real.
Yes.
Because any time you move away from being real, it vibrates funny.
Definitely.
Because the people could have understood if you said you needed an increase.
Right.
What the people did not understand is the jump,
Right.
the 214%
Right.
increase.
Right.
Now that the people have responded, you're not taking nothing.
Yeah. Right? It's like it's kind of, it comes across as you're trying to prove a point.
Yes.
Basically. Like,
Yes.
all right. See, then me not take nothing to say the increase too much. So
Yes.
me just go not take nothing basically. So it's
Because I wouldn't have had a problem in Lafaine if there was an increase granted.
right.
Because people's salaries need to go up.
Right.
So if an increase was granted and it was a reasonable increase, I doubt very much if people would have responded the way they
Right.
did.
And I think that was where the main issue lied. Because people were like, are you serious? And then you had other public sector workers literally begging for an increase and they weren't getting it and they were forced to accept whatever it is that was being presented to them. So how do you
Right.
justify that versus you getting this huge lump sum of money to do what? And you're elected official that you're supposed to serve the people, and you have places in Jamaica, you have constituents who've never seen their MPs. How do you gauge their performance to say, okay, you deserve an increase or this huge increase then?
Exactly. You know what struck me as strange to Lafaine? Now you're giving your parliamentarians a certain amount of money in an increase, and you are not saying. This would be very funny if it wasn't so serious.
Yeah.
You are not saying to the people of Jamaica, the members of parliament have worked well.
Yeah.
And this is why
They
I
are
see it fit
right.
to give them the increase.
Right.
But rather you're saying, no, that I give you the increase,
Wanna
and if
go
you work
work.
well. No, sir. No, sir. Mm-mm. I'm missing a lot of things. Can you imagine? No, that you get such a big increase. Only if you work well.
Yes.
The rest of us would have get an increase because we're working so well. You can imagine?
It was, listen, when I saw that too, it was so hilarious because I said, okay then, that really makes sense. And to make it more attractive so persons will want to become politicians. I never hear no politician and say, boy, I'm going to left the work, I'm going to foreign, because nothing now go on here. So I've never.
No.
They seem very complacent and I'm a fight to keep the position. So.
You see, if this wasn't the people's business,
Yes.
it would be comic relief.
It would.
But it's people's business. It's our business.
Yes. Yeah.
And we are paying these people.
Exactly.
So we can't laugh too hard.
Because anything what them do affect us and affect us
Absolutely.
negatively and significantly.
And can I tell you something? In these reports, particularly that BBC, or not BBC, that British report,
yeah.
right? It mentioned that public sector workers in Jamaica are underpaid. It mentioned all of that,
Right.
And they were very vocal about how people need to respond to governments.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I think the quotation from the newscaster is that people shouldn't be afraid of their government, but governments should be afraid of their people.
Exactly.
That was his closing sentence from his newscast.
But that's the thing, Mama, we don't realize how much power we have as a people, and because we don't realize and understand that, that is why things are allowed to just happen as they do here in Jamaica and probably other places in the Caribbean.
Right. I would like to say kudos to the people of Jamaica.
Yes.
And for us to continue this pressure, and I think this is one of the reasons why myself and Lafaine decided to continue this
Yes.
discussion.
Yeah.
Because we can't just drop it so.
No.
We have to continue it. We have to
Definitely
watch
follow
it
it up.
keenly. We have to analyze it as Jamaican people. Whatever our thoughts are, each of us entitled to our own opinions.
Exactly. We have to be critical thinkers. You can't just
Absolutely.
accept whatever it is that's put out there to you.
Absolutely. So, who I would like to applaud is the people
Yes.
on continuing to put pressure on,
Yeah.
whatever needs to be pressured.
Yes.
And to the international community for watching what is happening
Yes.
and making your voice be
Heard.
heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Because it never looked good, Mama. It never looked good. It never looked good at all. Because it almost borderlines disrespect, like blatant disrespect. Like, we don't care about you, we don't care about your struggles or whatever it is that you're going through. We just make sure say we good, basically. That's how it appeared.
And that's how it was interpreted
Yes.
by others from out of this
Yes.
space. That's exactly how it was interpreted. So, and for any well-thinking person, I don't know how else it can be interpreted. No,
No, but
really.
funny enough, some persons were trying to justify it, and I read an article by an attorney, I don't remember his name, but he was basically saying that because of, the position that they're in, they're expected to live this quality of life, so you have to ensure that they're compensated to match that. And I'm just like, okay then.
So we must match the life where they might live. No,
Yes.
but something, in all fairness, Lafaine, a salary increase would have been in order.
Yes.
That's just how I
Yes.
see it. A salary increase would have been in order, based on the position as the highest position of the land.
Right.
So one would expect, a comfortable salary.
Right.
Just not that comfortable.
No, that past comfortable.
Yeah.
That's floating in the clouds.
And since we have to match your life,
Right.
your lifestyle. I don't say it figure.
Listen.
You feel budget where we
Mama, or
my God.
politicians. Sometimes I observe the luxurious life that they live and enjoy, and I'm just like, yes, I understand that everybody wants to enjoy a certain quality of life, but my goodness, all these Range Rovers and all of these things, and these are government vehicles that are transporting these people from Parliament to wherever, and all these things. That's not really necessary.
Yeah, and then you see the thing about, all right, fine, let us say you do that. But in your personal life now,
Exactly.
the choices that you make about your lifestyle is we fi pay for. Me no know that. So no, me
So
think so
we
you have a
suffer, so you-
budget, and based on what your salary is, you determine if you want to find yourself in a debt.
Exactly.
We never know, so we for make sure so you don't
Exactly.
end up in a debt.
Exactly. Exactly.
Boy. Anyway,
Yeah.
once again, people of Jamaica, keep the pressure on.
Yes.
Turn up the fire and sustain it.
Definitely, because if not, you will see our society just really going down, degradation.
Yes.
Because when
Yes.
people see that, listen, you don't care about me, so me, I care about you, neither. So a crime and violence, they open the floodgates for anything to happen now.
Exactly. So, yeah. So when I read that, when I read that news item, instinctively, I never thought about the struggling people
Yeah.
at any point. What I thought about is how powerful
Yes.
the voice of the
Yes.
people is,
Yes.
and we must remember that and sustain
Sustain it.
it.
Sustain it. Sustain it. That's the kicker.
Yes. Thank you very much, producer.
You're welcome. We see you dance and I enjoy yourself, Mama. Give me some way you drink or eat
Look
because.
here, can I just, hey, me know so no waffle no way in my cup,
But still your cup stays in your, alright.
Spring water. My fun and my untangling is not, I don't have nothing added.
Alright.
Nothing
No
added.
addition.
No additions added. If you see me with my little teacup, it's actually tea in there. Boring tea too.
We'll take your word for it.
Lafaine, come on. You know, say even if never go so I'll be hearing me that say Lafaine,
Achoo.
So believe me, man.
Yes.
All right. Have a good rest
Yeah,
of
man.
the
You
day.
too.
All right. Take care. So once again, we invite you to give your thoughts about wow. One of my sisters sent so much fire that you understand exactly where this is going. All right. How does his salary have anything to do with Mama P and PJ Patterson? Don't get that. That shouldn't have anything to do with his salary. So them I use that now, so we feel bad. Fool them at sacrifice. No, no. All right. Another time I'm going to ask Lafaine, or probably even in this show. Lafaine, you hear that question? I think Lafaine can answer that question very well. But the other part of your comment is in order. Yeah, man. The whole heap of flames, so you're saying, oh my goodness, it's like my fool like a bono. What a whole heap of flame. I just pure flame. Some people don't even have nothing more than just flame for saying. All right, so we get it. We get it loud and clear. So thank you very much again for being part of our conversation. Remember, we untangle the trending with producer Lafaine every Thursday at 11 o'clock on the program Untengle. Okay, so it is now time for us to join Beauregard. And of course, Beauregard is in New York, and he is the host of the Corporate Hour on Irie Jam Radio in New York. So, good afternoon, Beauregard.
Good afternoon, Mama Kelly. Good afternoon, Jamaica. Good afternoon, the Bridge 99 FM. How's everybody doing?
Everyone is fine. I think you just about covered everyone. Good afternoon, New York.
Had to, Mama. Love that song you were just playing,
Yes. So you know that today is a very important day.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is. You want to begin? How was your week?
What cool. The week was a very progressive one, yes.
That's good to hear. Great to
Yeah,
hear.
man. Turn up your mic. Or me don't know if I turn up my own. I'm afraid to turn up my own, you know.
Okay, you hearing me louder now?
Yes,
All
that
right.
is it. Perfect.
All right.
All right. Yeah, man. So my
So-
week was a very progressive one.
That's
and
good.
I got through quite a... You see, a good week for me might be a little different from you. Because a good week for you mean how much party you're burning down.
No. That's a nice week, mama.
Oh!
That's a nice week. A good week for me and a great week for me is waking up every morning.
Oh,
you know?
wonderful.
Yeah, man.
Wonderful.
That's a good week for me.
I love that.
Health and strength, you know?
Mine too.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
yeah, man. You know,
Because with that, everything else falls into place. So
just like that.
Yeah, man.
Just like, especially when you reach this stage in your life,
I'm telling you.
you know, the to-do list get shorter. And when you say give thanks for life, always.
yeah, man, I mean it too.
You better mean it.
Yeah, man.
Good. And for me, it also means getting through the things that I need to get through in my space to create even a better space. Put it that way.
Yes, I totally understand.
All right, cool. Nice.
You know, here in the United States, this weekend is going to be a huge weekend, Mama Kelly. It is Memorial Weekend. And so many people, so many Americans are planning to travel this whole entire weekend. But one of the places in which they're saying the NAACP is advising us not to go is Florida. As we spoke about this last week with all the things that we saw, they're saying it's becoming more and more difficult, and the things that Governor Ron DeSantis is going on with is geared towards, you know, affecting black people and immigrants.
Yes.
So, you know,
we
the
see it as
NAACP.
racism. It's just straight racism.
Yes. So the NAACP has issued an alert, a warning to travelers to, you know, avoid Florida. And we see where Florida is basically caving in on itself right now because of the new bills that were passed or recommended by the governor about the immigrants. You know, nobody's working. From the people who work in the hotels to agriculture, the people who pick the fruits and all of these things, Mama Kelly, to landscaping, construction, everything is being affected. The supermarkets are not being stocked, you know, because these are some of the works that the immigrants that come here to the United States, you know, start off doing.
Exactly.
And right now we see truly where Florida is definitely being affected. Not even the truck drivers want to go into Florida.
And the governor's ancestors were also immigrants. So we don't really know where him come off with that. But anyway, yeah, there is that. But you know something, based on what you're saying, I think that them underrate the amount of immigrants who are working over there. Yeah.
And now them eyes are get open.
All
Yes.
right. So
They
them
see
just
the
figure say it's cool.
importance.
Yes. Them Augusti says really immigrant to build the place.
Yeah, man. Because let's be honest, Mama, a lot of Americans do not
Nah,
want
the
to do
certain
the jobs
work.
that,
Exactly.
that these people do. Or that
Exactly.
these people come here and pick up and, you know, make a life out of doing. And the honest truth is that many Americans, especially, you know, Caucasians, they are not going to do some of the jobs.
Same way, so.
Yeah.
Same way, so. So, you know, although them ball still and say is immigrants get for them work, but just like you say, a lot of them are not going to do those jobs.
Exactly.
But you know what is interesting though, Beauregard? You remember you kept saying to me last week, Thursday, what is being done? Any plans, any what you call it now, protest about what is happening in Jamaica? Because
Yes.
how important it is for the people to protest. Well, you know, in their own ways, the people have been speaking. And remember, I said to you last week how important it is for the diaspora to come on board and make their voices heard. Because sometimes when we talk, them don't really listen. But you see, when the diaspora talk and when, you know, like international counterparts start talking, because that is what is happening now. People
Yes.
are talking about the kind of wages that other prime ministers and governments are getting. And it is comparing unfavorably because them is saying that the British prime minister getting only £10,000 more now than the Jamaican
Yeah,
prime minister,
yes.
when the British prime minister will lead a country that is the 6th richest in the world. And we are the 100 and how much again?
50.
100 and- Good, wonderful. You see? You understand?
We have the 100 and, well, I believe we have the same economy as maybe 150 other countries. If I'm saying it correctly, Mama Kelly, or we are at 150th.
let me tell you what at what was said. It said
Yes.
that we are actually the 113th largest economy with a total of 195 countries. So do the math.
Have the same kind of economy.
No, 195 countries in the world. I mean, when I say in the world, in the survey,
Yes.
and England
Sixth.
is sixth, and we are 113th and getting just 10,000 pounds less than the
Prime
British
Minister of England.
Come
Yeah.
on, and people are coming out and making their voices heard, and this is something that we need to do worldwide, because our leaders are telling us that them have we like idiot now. So we really need to let them know, not so much.
Let them know that we are paying attention. That is the main
Yes.
thing. When they know that
Yes.
we are paying attention and that a lot of people are not going to stand for certain things, that's when they start to, put their tail between their legs and see that what they're doing is wrong.
So our Prime Minister has refused to accept a salary that he agreed to, claiming that him is now supporting the struggling people of Jamaica. But me and says because the struggling people of Jamaica know he not hit with him. So
And how will we be able to tell that he did not get the raise or did not take
No,
the
no,
raise?
well,
That is our next question.
and the other thing is that the other parliamentarians are taking the raise. So we still have to find that money for the other parliamentarians, and it just not ringing true. Because if the other parliamentarians are going to accept the raise, it means that they're going to be getting more than the Prime Minister.
And something wrong right there, so.
Right,
away.
that's so. Right,
Yeah,
that's what
man.
you say, Again, you're disrespect with intelligence.
Well,
Anyway.
Mama, sometimes you just don't know what to believe, yeah, man. And I saw where the World Health Organization, I also saw them come out this morning or yesterday and say, that we should prepare ourselves for a next pandemic. And the chief of the World Health Organization said that it is going to happen. So when him says something like that, it just leads me to believe that
It's a pandemic.
whatever thing is there is already waiting to be put out in the world.
Yes. Just
for,
like
for
what
you to
people are
say
saying.
it is going to happen,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there's no going around it, it aga happen, then that just goes to show me that, gonna have something up on the sleeves again. And elections are come up, so you never know, Mama Kelly. Just might be in time for the elections. So we'll see what takes place and what happens. When I hear them talk about these things, as you say, pandemic, after going through the last one, Mama Kelly, and I can speak, and I'm speaking for myself,
Yeah.
this reminds me of when I was younger and watching wrestling. I grew up and realized that wrestling fake. And some of my friends them still say it's real. Other vibes that I get. when all the evidence is there to show you that there's something else other than what you might think. You still a follow say, yo, wrestling real, Man, them
Yeah,
really
man.
are throw one another around the ring.
Yeah, man, it's true, man. And them still think that it's some kind of conspiracy theory. But, for those who don't think so, it puts us ahead of the game, because it means hopefully that we are making preparations, or we should have been making preparations for the next pandemic, because we see where them headed, and we see that is an international conspiracy of governments, and we see say each are we supposed to see free government a part of it, and really start to make preparations as best as possible for it. And probably that me mean when we say me have fix up my yard in such a way that me not dead feel hungry.
And to this day, you have some people who still haven't asked one question, like just even to themselves, like, trying to figure out one thing. Nobody not even said to themselves, well, some people haven't even asked themselves a question like, how is this, how is that? Them just go along. And that's that.
You see, we would have thought, or I would have thought, that critical thinking would have been encouraged as the generations go, come. But it seems as though my generation might have more critical thinkers than this current generation. And one would never have thought that could have been so. Because it's as though they're creating robots out of this generation. probably the only real people left are the ones in previous generations who them trying very hard to kill off.
I'm telling you, crazy situation going on, Mama Kelly. But also, this weekend, Mama Kelly, is going to be a very interesting weekend for me, Mama Kelly. I'll be doing some traveling as well. And not to bust up any dance or anything of the sort, but this is a very important weekend for me, and one that I am so happy that the Almighty, gave me the health and strength to be here. My son graduates from college.
Oh,
this weekend.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. And he
So
says
I'll
it so humbling. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yes.
Lovely, Beauregard.
Definitely
Congrats
looking
to your
forward to that.
entire family. Please just give your son a big hug.
I'll do so. And also my daughter is graduating high school as well. So I have 2 graduations this weekend alone.
Proud daddy. That's
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Congrats. Lovely. Especially
Thanks.
as a nation, as a nation of people, me at black people, have to make sure so we put position with children in a way that them can actually, first of all, understand what is happening and then make a difference. Because enough people really don't even get it.
Right.
Much as we go start make a difference.
True. So true. Thank you, Mama Kelly. Thank you so much. Also, Mama Kelly, we say a happy birthday to Sugar Minot, who celebrates her birthday today. May he continue to rest in eternal power. And we say condolences to the fans, family and friends of Miss Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, who passed away yesterday.
Yes, that one was, you know something though, Beauregard, I am not really changing the way how I think about transition, but shifting a lot. Because when I look at Tina Turner, and at her age when she, lift up her frock, and oh beautiful. No, come on, girl. Look here, just step in outside with your pretty leg, them, yeah, baby.
Tell you.
Hey, you go, girl.
Yeah, man. A class act. She stood out, Mama Kelly.
Class act.
She stood out in her, during her time amongst her generation, and even to this day.
Yeah,
her
man.
vocals, as you
Simply
said,
the best. Yeah,
her signature, one of her signature things being, her legs,
Right.
her amazing stage presence.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
She was one of those people on stage where you couldn't take your eyes off her while she was
Absolutely.
performing.
And that goes for both man and woman, because the men, I'm sure, were looking for one reason, and then we as women were just saying, "You go, girl."
Yes. She definitely did empower a generation of women, Mama Kelly. Someone who spoke out about domestic violence.
Right.
Something that she lived through and experienced.
Right. And rose above.
And rose above. True
You
indeed.
know.
Yeah, man. Right now, I vex session now come and hell with him.
Because one of the beautiful things about Tina that I love, the fact that she went through the struggle, she faced domestic abuse, she was robbed, she got broke, and from that bottom she just rose to a woman who was doing well in an age that most women kind of put up them pretty frock. And she was actually taking back down hers and dusting them off and showing, her beauty and her, her abilities. I would rather celebrate Tina than mourn.
Yes. And that's what we're doing. Actually, when I was getting off here yesterday evening, yesterday afternoon, that's when I got the news, and I had to end my show with a song from her. Simply the best,
Simply the best. That would have to be. This one says, "Greetings, sis, and bless the rising. I would love to wish my brother, Mr. Lincoln Sugar Minot, a happy birthday today in Zion. A soldier like him would have to born on OAU Day, also African Liberation Day. Rest in peace, Chief. Your contribution is immense. Love your king." And that's coming from Sister Carol. So bless up yourself, Sister Carol. My son will celebrate his birthday also in Zion like Sugar tomorrow on the 26th, and we remember
Happy
that
birthday.
day
Yes.
vividly. It was right after African Liberation Day celebration.
Wow.
So there's that. And the 12 tribes of Israel are also having celebration. Oh, we're going break. All right, make a break.
All right, we'll soon come.
Do we have Danny Buster online or on Zoom? Is Danny there? You know, I'm listening to you, Beauregard, and you know, I never met Prince Buster, but as I hear you playing that song, I remember that Prince Buster is a man, you know, where hold on, one sec. Oh, okay, all right. All right, we soon join Danny. You hearing me, Beauregard?
Yes, Mama.
Okay, Prince Buster is a man as me hear you as we me hear her play that song there. I one of the man, I one of the original man. They were not really afraid for doing like a slack tune, them, you know. Yeah, man, and he do it very bossy because he's a bossy man.
I'm gonna have to ask Mr. Danny Buster about this.
Yes, Danny can't deny it. Me know me Prince Buster tune there. Me never know him, but me love Prince Buster. You see all the 10 commandments of man to woman. You know that one? Oh, Lord.
I'm gonna have to familiarize myself with some of those songs.
Turn up your, turn up your
you have the one where that brought my attention to
Which
Prince
one?
Buster was you lick him down, you bounce
Hard
right
man
back,
for
but
dead.
a hard man for dead.
Yeah, man, me have the one there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I whole heap of thing I want to ask the son, you know. Because, all right, the slackness is there. I hear the next thing what is dear to everybody. I say, you know, gun tune not only, you know, this generation. There's a intro with Prince Buster where him say, Al Capone guns don't hog you. Me want to talk about the whole of them thing there, you know. Because a long time them thing they are gone. Right. Okay? Where's the Sultan?
Is he
Where
on?
there? Probably I don't think he has connected yet.
Okay,
So the one where you
we'll
asked for, all right, the one where you asked for, no, make a play the one where you asked about Hard Man for Dead. All right, that's a number 9. Hold on, let me see if I have a CD a Beauregard. When me I play this a CD, a floor me depend, you know, because the Prince no easy, you see him there, you know.
You pick him up, you lick him down and bounce right back. What a hard man for dead.
Okay, Beauregard, so how are we going to be joining the Prince's son? Okay, oh, they say he's ready. All right,
Okay.
so no, this is a recent one? Yes. So, good afternoon. I don't
Hello?
hear him. Yes. Good afternoon, Danny.
Hello.
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear. You hearing us?
Yes, definitely. That she said to you, Scalam and Skeletons. How you doing, Miss Kelly, and Mr. Beauregard?
Doing
Good afternoon.
me doing name Skellies.
Miss Elise Kelly.
Me tell you, sir.
Danny, I love the accent.
How is that? How is that? Mama Kelly.
Nice. All right, we can work with that.
All right, cool.
So how you do?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me. Most I must say Scalam to all my family in Jamaica, my beloved country, first time on the air on the Bridge FM. And big shout out to Mr. Lou Grant for making this possible. And of course to Miss Lafaine who sent me a beautiful video footage about 5 seconds. Must know I was at Kingston College alumni with a purple background, so I'm very, very pleased. Plus it's a very festive day. My father, Jamaican first superstar, national hero, Prince Buster, Pride Ambassador of Jamaica's 85th birthday, and he's a national hero. Thank you. Just for the preamble, so to speak.
you know, Danny, I'm happy to meet you because you know I've listened to your songs and I'm happy to meet you because what you just talked a while ago, I get the feeling from your father, although I never know him, that he was a bossy man. And just listening to your, you know, bossy.
Let me correct you, Miss Mama Kelly. What's
Yes, yes, correct me.
You went to Wilmer's High School?
Yes, I did.
Well, I'm a purple and white man from North Street, Kingston College, 40
Okay.
City, City, North.
Okay.
My father was a bossy man. My father knew who he was.
Oh.
It's the difference between a slave and someone who's mentally and spiritually free. My father got the teaching from way back in yonder when the average person was still in a pupa cocoon and everything. And he was the one who brought me and said, Danny, come, we're going to be on the front line, protesting, walking from Dr. Walter Rodney. I don't know how old you are, Miss Kelly, but I'm 64 years old, and I was on the front line, my father, for Dr. Walter Rodney, when
Yeah,
he was
I remember
the
that.
person from the establishment. So he knew what he was. Muhammad Ali was doing in America. Prince Buster, Muhammad Yusuf Ali was doing in Jamaica.
Yes, yes, I remember that. But I was really speaking about musically, and I meant it in a good way because
I know. Come on, it's
when you
live,
talk
it's
about
live.
showbiz, if you're saying if you're talking about showbiz, you're talking about showbiz. So he was definitely, in my opinion, a showman, and I think that's what I mean.
Definitely. I mean, listen. I met a young boy who came from humble beginnings. You must understand that my father came from Western Kingston, Victoria Jubilee, May 24th, 1938. And at that time, there was a leader called Buster Mantu who had taken up the striking workers for the building the factory for the sugar mill. Back in those days, it was owned by Mr. Lyle and Tate and everything. And Buster Mantu became the advocacy for the downtrodden people, fighting to get at least a pound a day. Buster was born in the tenement yard of 145 and a half, and all the tenement people around my grandmother, Miss Olive, came and said, Miss Olive, you have to call him Buster, came born at Buster man at the time. That was like 1 month before Buster came around. My father was born May 24th. Buster was leading the strike in April. Just about 30 days given. And it's not by chance, it's by design. It's a universal cosmic force, because when a person or a people cry and woes for the struggle, the Most High always send a tradition to the mother's womb. So Prince was born for that mission.
I hear you.
Very, very interesting, Danny. Let me also ask you this, because you just mentioned that your dad was Jamaica's first superstar. Take us back to your early memories of when you realized that your dad was a superstar.
Well, I tell you what, let me go back to 28 Roseland. Let me take you back to the inner Western Kingston. You see, I was born in Victoria Jubilee. My mother came out of the 28 Rose and she just walked straight up to Rose Lane. At the corner there was Victoria Jubilee. And we went back to Rose Lane. I was between Rose Lane and Orange Beach Street. And every time I walk around the street, people knew who I was. A Prince Buster son that, you know. Want me young Prince? Yeah, man, Ray. I knew it when I was a little boy. My father was something very, very special. Yeah. And I'm not being braggadocious. He had that bravado. That's why when he met Muhammad Ali, you must understand law of attraction. My father went to England to promote ska music with Derek Morgan, and he met Muhammad Ali, and they kicked it off. If you look at the images, they look very similar, just Ali's about maybe 5 or 6 inches tall and everything. These things are designed by the Most High from a cosmic, unseen realm, what we call the Gaib, from a cosmic world. He was destined to do the things that he did in Jamaica. And all along, if you talk to Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Toots, all of them was influenced by Prince Buster. Matter of fact, all of them owe Prince Buster debt of gratitude, because before Prince Buster there was none. He set the standard, and he's definitely a national hero. He was influenced by Mr. Randy Williams and Miss Luz Bennett. And I must add that when I was in Kingston College in 1974, I was in a movie produced by Mr. Lucian Chin called Marijuana Affair, where Mr. Randy Williams, on the doors of the Central Police Station, he wrote a script for my brother and I. And it was the 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 more. So I consider Miss Louise Bennett and Randy Williams the father and the mother of Jamaican culture. And Prince Buster followed subsequently right behind that.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be using the right adjectives, but I'm going to use them nonetheless, because this is my impression of a man listening to his music. And I'm hearing you because you are his son. So you must have a lot more information than we do. It seems to me, Danny, listening to your father's music, I'm talking about the from as way back as Madness and 30 Pieces of Silver and Earthquake and them kind of tune there. It seems
and
to me.
Don't forget the family song, Danny, Dane and Lorraine. You must play that today.
Which
That's
one?
A family song. Danny, Dane and Lorraine. My name has been etched in the annals of ska music history from 1963. A lot of Prince Buster's music are even older than the so-called independence. Again, he's a national hero. He set the pendulum and the bar for them to follow. When Bob came from a country, he saw Prince Buster dominated West. Matter of fact, Prince Buster was the man in Western Kingston. When Jimmy came from Mobe, he saw Prince Buster. Toots, all of them can attest to these things.
That's really the question. That's really the comment I wanted to make. It is very clear that he was the man, and he was called Prince for a reason, because he was a very royal stature. But he was also the man, what probably we would call a general. And I get this from his music. Am I wrong?
Oh, Mama Kelly, you learn quick. When your birthday, Miss Kelly? Miss Kelly?
I was born the same year you were born, but in April.
Oh wow, my daughter, bless her soul, Shadi, I love you. Hope you listen to this interview. She was born April 12th.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So I get all of that information, Danny, just from his music.
I'm telling you, my father became my. Listen, I can remember playing first form competition at school, Kingston College, Melbourne, with myself. And I don't know if you know Churchill Nita,
Yeah,
the
I've heard
lawyer,
about
and his
it.
son Mark.
Yeah.
They're on the same team. And I remember leaving after school, going home, and then Mark walked to his father. That's about 1972, first form. And he was say, okay, Mark, we'll see you later on. And I'm passing Mr. Churchill's car. And then Mark looked at his dad and said, Dad, that's Prince Buster's son. And the bigger Churchill needs to turn around and say, what? He said, come here. You are who? Blah, 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 blah. Your father's my very good friend. Come in the car. I'll never forget that. I will never forget Mr. Nita from that. And we went up to some place up in the hills and I had some roast beef and blah, blah. Trust me, Prince Buster was the man. Everybody knew who Prince Buster was. And he called the shots. When they got in trouble in Western Kingston, Prince Buster was the face-off. He was the voice of the people. Let's be clear about that. The voice of the people, the common people, because my father said he came from the donkey people, but he has never forgotten from whence he came. And I can go back to the early 60s when Buster blew up on RCA Records, because he was Jamaican to have 10 Commandments on RCA and Victor in America. We went to see Mr. Curry. At that time, Mr. Curry lived in Cherry Garden. At that time, Cherry Garden was Cherry Garden, like bird sucker. And he was trying to influence my dad just to buy a house beside him. Elise Kelly, when I chronicle this book, you're going to understand that Prince Buster is a national hero. And I'm now proposing to have a Prince Buster Day in Jamaica on his birthday. Because all them producers who came after him before Buster, there was none.
His birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, Coxon was not playing Jamaican music. You must understand all the other producers, matter of fact, the three main producers was Prince Buster, Coxon, and Duke Reid. Coxon and Duke would make the money off rhythm and blues. My father tried to go to farm work to get a little money to try to buy records like them. Come back to Jamaica, probably market up 600%. It wasn't viable. They kicked him out and said, listen, Prince Buster not going to farm work to cut cane. He's going to buy records. Your hands are too soft. And as a result of that, he came with Buster, boop, beat, under the help of a man called Mr. Drumbeg and Judge Jerry. So Prince Buster was the man who changed the whole music scene because all of us playing rhythm and blues. Buster entered the music dance hall, so to speak, and dance hall that I know about in the 60s, first of all, where my job was to pick up the bodies. I was a bottle police way back in the 60s. My grandmother gave me that commission to do that. They were playing rhythm and blues. Buster entered with a song called Bad Minded People. Now that was a national song that pushed back to the rhythm and blues. Cox's number one song was like Later for the Ghetto, Willis Jackson. That was called a Coxon Hop. Duke was playing Hey, Hey, Mr. Berry. Busted entered the sound system arena with Don't Believe Them People, I Have Done No Wrong, and changed the landscape with the help of the great Lester Sterling. We just lost Lester Sterling. That's another icon that should be respected and given all these national awards and everything. Because if you listen to that solo, it was Lester playing the staccato solo like a Charlie Parker, and the silence all of them. And my father said that was the first musical revolution in Jamaica that pushed back the rhythm and blues. And here come Prince Buster and ska music and gave Jamaica a national sound, which is called ska music. And ska is the national music.
Okay, we're going to take a break. And Beauregard, we have lots of commercials your side. And for those listening, when we come forward, we're going to continue our conversation with Danny Buster. And he is the son of the prince himself, Prince Buster. Soon forward.
Time for us to rejoin Mama Kelly on the Bridge 99 FM. Mama Kelly.
I am right here.
All right.
Is Danny, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How do the family celebrate Prince Buster's birthday this year, and how do you celebrate it normally?
Oh, wow. It's just too much. Like 24 hours before his birthday, we've been getting calls, stuff from all Europe, because you remember Europe is England's about 8 hours difference from California. So prior to the 23rd, we start getting a lot of promotion and marketing, people sending stuff, people sending all kind of great salutation and everything. And we get together as a family because, again, the song that we propel us, Danny, Dale, and Lorraine. We just had a big Zoom conference with Berkeley School of Music faculties last night, and some very important official people who studying the music, who's giving Prince Buster's credit. I know that he was the man behind the Jamaican music scene. And we got together for the first time in a long time, Danny, Dale, and Lorraine, because we're busy living separate lives. I'm in California, Dane and Lauren is in Florida and everything, and different scheduling and different time zones. So we finally got together for this 85th birthday, I should say, earthstrong for my father and everything. And it was beautiful. My mother is involved. She saw that, she's proud and everything, because we are coming from humble beginnings from Western Kingston, and we never forgot where we came from. Going to the Little Saint School, taking the asham and the stretcher and the Bustamante backbone. I remember my Western Kingston like it was yesterday. It has never left me. And I remember the humble beginnings.
Backbone.
You see, Miss Kelly, I'm from the old school, and I remember the dance hall. My grandmother going to the slaughterhouse, my father dances before my father became this prominent man. Humble beginnings, like I said, going to the slaughterhouse, getting the mutton and seasoning the mutton with going to grass yard and getting the coal and everything. And my father sent the truck with the sound system, with the speakers, with the amp and horns, and then take out the Foster's hall. And she had to finish cook right there. And my job, like midnight or so, was to walk around the dance hall with the red stripe here. Dane and I, Sultan and Kareem, and pick up the empty bottles so Buster could recycle for the next upcoming dance. So
wow.
I grew up in that place, knowing the first time, all them dances, my grandmother, and of course she's my first teacher. That woman, I just hope I can make her proud, because before they was my Prince Buster, my matriarchal grandmother, who hailed from a place called Mocha Clarendon, who could not read nor write, but what she gave me, I went to university, I went to college. Nobody's ever told me what she told me, not even my father and mother. And she quoted this all her life. She said, Danny, let me give it in a colloquial expression, because she was from Clarendon. Danny, are you? What you mean, Granny? From the day you born, your papa never for call England and ask him, Mama, for a teaspoon of sugar. And it took me a long time to understand that. And I love my grandmother. May Allah be pleased with her. She was telling me that I was the one. Just from the day I was born, my father never looked back. That 1960, Buster silenced Jamaica. You must understand that. Buster came into a business with no money. He just had the backing of Western Kingston. That's why he was called Prince Buster, the first voice of the people, the common downtrodden donkey people. Buster elevated them and took on a challenge to the status quo, competing against Duke and Cox and everything, and beat them in the sound system, established his own record label, promotion, marketing, everything. Those things are unheard of. Those things are unprecedented feat and everything. And have them call him by the man of Western Kingston. He even deal with Mr. Edward Siaga on the World Street in 1964. Buster was a highlight for the whole thing, going to New York, Flushing, New York to promote ska music and everything. So if you should check Buster live, and being a minister spiritually, one-man charity organization, the man who kept Western Kingston a certain kind of peace and passivity, he's definitely a national hero. Nobody can compete with that. None of them, because all of them come from the rural areas and come saw Buster, one man, sound system, property, one in the island car and everything, making the face of one of the biggest magazines at that time, Swing Magazine and everything. It was on principle for young boy.
Danny, I know that you have your own career, and we're going to talk about that. But can I just play... Can I just play Prince Buster's Earthquake? You know that one, Beauregard?
Go right ahead and drop it, Mama Kelly, yes.
That one you tell me, say my general.
Mama.
You hold
Mama.
Yeah. What? General. Remember me tell you. All right, come, we'll play now.
Earthquake, child, earthquake. Man, stand up.
Stand up and fight.
Stand up and fight. If you're right.
If you're right. What does that tell you about Prince Buster? Tell me now. What do you learn about Prince Buster from that song?
Listen, I want you to understand that our Prince Buster song has a definite on-the-job empirical meaning. What Buster was really doing was challenging Coxsone. You see, Coxsone started at Love Lane, then he moved to Orange Street. Okay? Buster considered that era his era, because he was born 145 and a half and everything.
Right.
So he had Music City, and Buster was at Luke Lane and Charles. My father had 4 record stores. Okay? Luke Lane and Charles Street, and then 3 there and 1 on Orange Street. So when he came around Orange Street, he saw Coxsone and said, Coxsone, you're not from here. You're not supposed to be here. So those sounds, Earthquake was shaking the beat. It was called Downbeat. Buster challenging them. And subsequently, after them songs and everything, Downbeat moved to Brentford Road. There's a story behind all the songs, Miss Kelly.
Okay, nice, beautiful. Thanks for explaining that to us, Danny. Because from where you must know so much more. So give thanks for that.
Listen, I was given on-the-job training. I told you when Dr. Walter Rodney protested, my father didn't ask me. He said, Danny, come. And I was on the front line for Dr. Walter Rodney. 1968, I was 9 years old.
Yes. Tell us about your career, because you have also taken it a step further, and you also.
Oh man,
Let's talk about
yes,
that.
and walking on my father's shoulder like every generation is supposed to be. I went to Hong Kong. Matter of fact, I performed last time in Los Angeles and everything, and people saw my performances and they were very impressed. And I was invited to go to Las Vegas. Rhoda Dakar couldn't make it, one of the big stars out of England, and they called me to save the day. It was the last minute, and I had to accommodate them because of some relationship and friendship. But I went to Las Vegas. The show blew up and everything. Then the video got shown in Hong Kong, and I was like, about months or so, I got a call on the WhatsApp or one of them social platform media about wanting me to come to Hong Kong. I never thought about Hong Kong. Hong who, Hong what, Hong where. So I didn't chart my destiny, and they flew to LA. We had a meeting and everything, and next 4 months I was on one of the biggest festivals in a place called West Kowloon, Hong Kong, and I drew over 30,000 people. I'm like one of the first men to really take ska music to Hong Kong. That was about maybe, what we say, 6 3 is 18. It's about somewhere like 18 hours away from Los Angeles. I never sat so long till my booty got numb and everything. Stopped to Korea, from Korea to Hong Kong. It was a beautiful experience. 30,000 people. Launched a band called Red Stripe. Now Red Stripe is on the way. What I did for Red Stripe is what Busta did for Madness. And I've been working on an album right now, but at the same time, we do some legal litigation about estate and everything, and a lot of different stuff. So I'm a man who wears many, many hats, because you never what you do. I perform services and do this. And I think I've sent you a couple of my MP3 files via Miss Lafaine. If you can play them and everything on the song Danny, then I learn. And I can remake one of the Marvin Gaye songs, Pride and Joy, with a reggae hip-hop kind of groove and everything. You're supposed to have it in the MP3 files.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Beauregard, you want to take those 2 minutes?
I just want to commend Mr. Danny Buster, on knowing all this history, not only about his dad, but to pay attention to everything that was going on around him, so he can tell the story today for generations who weren't there to witness it themselves. So, Mr. Danny Buster, bless up yourself. I guess my last question that I would ask you is the name Sultan Ali. Does that have anything to do with your dad knowing Muhammad Ali?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, prior to this talking, basically, my father went to England to promote ska music, and along with Mr. Derek Morgan. And we must understand that. A lot of people think that the first musical clash in Jamaica is Ninja Man and Shabba. No, the first musical clash is Prince Buster and Derek Morgan. Okay, it's not Beenie Man and Bounty Killer, so we got to set the record straight. But Buster eventually went to England to promote ska music. Hello?
It's not the Blackhead Chinese song.
Yeah, yes. Hold on. We'll go to that in a minute. And he went to promote ska music and everything with Derek Morgan. And after meeting with Blue Beat, Mr. Shalit, office, walking around London and everything, he met up with, at that time, it was Mohammed Cassius Clay. And my father was a boxer as well. My father used to box at all the gym. I used to accompany him to Dragon Gym over there by in Western Kingston, of course, Guinness Gym by the race course and everything. My father was a pugilist as well, because he was a very good friend of Lucian Chin, who was a boxing promoter back in those days.
Mr. Buster, I don't mean to cut you, but we're going to get cut off here in the tri-state area in about 10 seconds. So I just want to wish you all a wonderful weekend, Mama Kelly. We'll do this again next Thursday, and I know you're going to continue on the Bridge 99.
Thank you very much, and wonderful having you, Danny.
Bless.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So, thanks again. Love you, New York. Bless up yourself, Beauregard. It is now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Very interesting conversation with Danny Buster, son of Prince Buster. And Prince Buster celebrated his 85th birthday yesterday, the 24th of May. And celebrations continue. And this is one of the reasons why we've invited Danny to help with the celebration of this great musician, Prince Buster. All right, so we're going to take a break, right? All right, soon forward. Okay, so we understand or overstand that Dr. Michael Barnett is online. Good afternoon, Dr. Barnett, and happy AOU Day.
Yes, good afternoon, Mama Elise. Yes. Happy African Liberation Day, Africa Day,
Right.
Yes.
All right, so African Liberation Day was actually conceived in Addis Ababa, and this happened. It was on the 25th of May, 1963.
Yes,
Could
yes.
you, just for our listeners, could you explain to us what was happening in the space, the African on the continent at that time, and then from there explain to us when OAU Day became AU Day?
Well, essentially, Mama Elise, what you had in 1963 was the different nations of Africa were becoming independent at that time. Ghana was the first sub-Saharan country to become independent in 1957, and then it's followed by Guinea and several other countries. So by the time we get to 1963, you had 32 nation states in Africa that were independent. And the conception that was put forward, there were two groupings. Let me just say that. There were two groupings. There was the Casablanca group, which Kwame Nkrumah was a notable part of. The Casablanca group, which obviously includes Morocco, because Casablanca is the capital of Morocco. They were for a federated states of Africa. In other words, the United States of Africa, where each country would be like a state, and they would be very highly integrated, and you'd have, I guess, one overall president that oversees all of the comings and goings of the signature, the member states. But then you had another group known as the Monrovia Group that was led by Liberia, hence the name Monrovia Group, who were against that. The leaders were very apprehensive about giving up their personal power, what they saw as their own sovereignty to an extent, but mainly the power in terms of having a federated states of Africa. So there was resistance of Kwame Nkrumah's plan, which was for a very integrated, federated states of Africa. So what happened was that Haile Selassie I, who was then the father of Africa, he was the most senior statesman on the continent at the time, he sort of intervened, and he was able to bring both groups together and said, well, let's have something in between. So we're going to have a union of states, but each leader will still be the ruler of their own country, and they're not necessarily going to give up their individual power, so to speak, but we will come together as a bloc, as a group. And so you had the Organization of African Unity was formed in May 25th, 1963, under the leadership of Haile Selassie I, who was seen by all and recognized by all on the continent as the father of Africa. I mean, one thing, he was ruling the one African country that could boast it had never been colonized, although Italy had really tried to make a strong effort to colonize it, but they failed. First of all, in the Battle of Adwa, 1896, they were resoundly beaten by then Emperor Menelik II, and then they invaded Ethiopia in 1935, but were then pushed out May 5th, 1941, which is now considered as Victory Day for Ethiopia, and so forth. So he then had the acclaim of ruling a nation state that had one of the most ancient timelines, and also of remaining a sovereign state within the canopy of African states. And he was the elder statesman,
Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana
yes.
also shares the founder, being one of the founders of the OAU with His Imperial Majesty, though.
Yes, because he had written the book Africa Unite, a very important book that's still available for those who are interested, that talks about the benefits of Africa uniting. And also he conceptualized that Africa as a continent would be a would be a force to reckon with if the countries did actually come together.
Okay, we're getting the commercial break signal, so we're going to take a commercial break, Michael, and then when we come forward, we're going to talk about from OAU to AU. So we have live online Dr. Michael Barnett, and he's senior lecturer of the Department of Psychology, Sociology, and Social Work. So we're talking about the Organization of African Unity as we celebrate the 60th anniversary. So we're talking about now, Dr. Barnett, the transition from it being the Organization of African Unity to the African Union. Take us through that transition.
Well, essentially, Mama Elise, in July 2002 in Durban, South Africa, was when the OAU formally, the OAU becomes the African Union, the AU. And there was a prior discussion in September 1999 to create a new continental organization, and then that was enacted in July 2002, South Africa. So South Africa was one of the leaders in that discussion. You know, precisely why they decided that they wanted to change the name, I am going to, and this is my perspective, really following along with the European Union. I think they just said, you know, why don't we have the African Union? But I should say that the OAU, which was a union of African states, preceded the EU by more than a decade, right? Because the EU doesn't come into being until the 1970s. So having said that, the decision was reached, and in 2002, July, they changed the name from the OAU to the AU.
Right.
Yeah?
So we just need to know that the Organization of African Union preceded the EU.
Yes.
But the AU was after the EU.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right.
And to be honest with you, I'm a romantic. I'm an idealist. The name the OAU is just more powerful to me. Organization of African Unity, you know, is a more powerful name than African Union. But it's still, the main thing is we have a union of states.
Yes. Yep. I think I would romanticize the first one with you. I too think it's a more powerful statement.
Yes.
So let us talk about celebrations happening today now that we've gotten a pretty general idea of the OAU and the transition to AU. Let us talk about what's happening on campus first.
So on campus today, we have our Africa Day lecture, which is entitled Formulating a Pan-African Strategy for the Upliftment of Africa and its People at Home and Abroad in the 21st Century. So it's a mouthful, but it's basically pushing for solutions for the upliftment of Africa and its people, and that includes the diaspora, because many of us conceive that we're still not in the position that we should be in the world today. Most of the African states, as well as the countries that are occupied by the African diaspora out here in the West, were still on the status of developing countries as opposed to developed first world nations. So the question is, how do we become first world nations? What's holding us back? What's preventing us from being first world nations? So I have several speakers that are going to come up with perspectives and ideas on that.
Okay, let's have them.
And the speakers are Malefi Ketia Santi, who hails from Temple University in Philadelphia, USA. He has the notoriety of being the first person to found a PhD program in African American and African Studies in the USA, and he also is considered the founder of the Afrocentric paradigm. That's Professor Malefi Keti Asante. Then we also have Cecil Gutsmore, who is a former lecturer at UWI, now resides in London, England, but he has a Pan-African activist, known him for a good while, and he will also be presenting. We also have Minister Clive Mohammed, the Jamaica representative for the Nation of Islam, based right here in Jamaica. He is going to give a perspective on what he sees as necessary to happen in the continent of Africa and amongst us in the African diaspora. We have Hiru Foriata, a Ghanaian-born Pan-African activist and an entrepreneur, and also spoken word artist. So he's doing a lot of stuff on the continent, and he has a perspective on what can happen to make things move forward. Then we have Jabalani Tafari, who you know used to be a colleague of yours, I believe, Mama Elise. He's now in South Florida, but he used to work at JVC when he was running, Rastafari journalist, Pan-African activist himself, Vice President of Roots Foundation, Inc. And then we have Stephen Golden, who is running the Jamaican branch of the UNIA.
A great cross-section. Great cross-section. May I just ask, where are my sisters?
Well, I asked 3 sisters to be a part of the event, and then for whatever reason, each one said that they had other engagements and they couldn't do it and so forth. So it wasn't that I didn't attempt to even get one sister on there, but I don't know. I guess the sisters have so much responsibilities and so much stuff doing that they
I think that might just be it. That's it. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. So I know that you told me earlier on about celebrations taking place at the Haile Selassie I High School.
Yes.
Let's talk about
The
that.
celebration is still going on. Peter, and we just had an African fashion show just now. We had a dance routine. So this is a student-led event, which is great, and the teachers and staff have been thoroughly engaged in this one, and it's been running ever since 2018, I believe, was when we've had the first Africa Day event at the high school. So it's sort of ahead of the game, because now there's a push to have Africa Day at all of the schools, secondary and primary schools.
That's wonderful.
And to be honest with you, I'm going to my ring into the hat and say that as part of the board of the National Council of Reparations, we had talks with the Ministry of Education and urged them to consider Africa Day as part of the calendar on the school's events. Just like we have Jamaica Day, we say let's have Africa Day and celebrate that African ancestry that most of us have.
Right.
And it does seem to have taken off. So last year, we saw that, spreading around the nation, and this year, again, it continues. So,
and what an exciting moment that must be, because there's just so much to celebrate,
Yes. And I think, Mama Elise, if we embrace our African ancestry and so forth, and not considered a badge of shame, but a badge of honor, then we become whole human beings. Because, some of us are trying to run away from that part of ourselves, and then we're kind of, tailspin. Because whereas the East Indians are proud of their ancestry, the Chinese, Jamaicans, they celebrate their ancestry.
That's right.
We as people of African descent, the black Jamaicans, we should be proud of our ancestry.
Absolutely. And it's growing, but it will be so much more, potent if you're celebrating it from childhood in the school, dressing up as you are, and finding out more. Oh, that's exciting.
Wearing
okay,
African
so
garb and
There is
Yeah.
also an African Diaspora Documentary Film Festival. Let's talk quickly about that.
Yeah, so that will be tomorrow, and it will be two documentaries back to back showing at the UE campus, Mona, and that is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Summer of Soul is one of the documentaries being shown that looks at the 1969 Harlem Soul Music Festival, which featured artists such as Stevie Wonder, Hugh Masekela, Nina Simone, Sly and the Family Stone, B.B. King, Gladys Knight, Mahalia Jackson, just to name some. And it's really a feast of artistic performances and soul. And I mean, it's, to be honest, you remember, Elise, I was a toddler, really, well, was under 10 years old in 1969, but thanks to my parents, they were playing that music in the 60s. So
Yes.
I grew up on that, and I, grew up on Rocksteady and Ska and all of that. So even Nina Simone, Young, Gifted and Black, and we had the
Right.
cover with Bob Andy
Right.
and Marcy Griffiths, and those were for me one wonderful nostalgic times. So for me,
Absolutely.
it's probably nostalgia, but it says a lot, and also it speaks about the backdrop of the Black Power movement in '69, which was at a height, and people come on stage and give, I'm black and I'm proud speeches and so forth like that. So to me, it's a very strong documentary.
Yes.
So it's not just about the music, but the politicization, the politics of the time, that black pride and so forth comes out of that film.
Okay.
And then the other one is Mama Africa, that looks at the life of Miriam Makeba, who spent almost 50 years in exile from South Africa for daring to speak out against the vicious apartheid system.
Wife
So
of
she's
Stokely
exiled
Carmichael.
from 1959, right? Doesn't get back until, apartheid is over in the 1990s, is not able to go back to South Africa. But
Great
she,
activist.
yes, great activist, and it talks about, trials and tribulations she went through, and how she meets Kwame Ture, who was formerly known as Stokely Carmichael. They get married, and they
That's
were...
Stokely Carmichael.
So, yes. So they were married in the 60s and so forth, and then how both of them came under intense pressure from the FBI and all of this stuff. So behind the scenes look at what they had to go through by struggling for, black sovereignty and,
Exactly.
and black rights and black power. So I think two gripping documentaries which after watching them, I just said, I think this is worthwhile for the, for the people
All
to
right.
watch. To be honest
Dr.
with you,
Barnett.
so that's 5 to 9. That's tomorrow.
Yes.
And the lecture is at 6 today.
Right.
6 at UE. But I must say one thing for the lecture is that if people cannot come in person, the good news is that we have UE TV's come on board, and they're providing a platform to live stream it on.
Wonderful.
And the platform is just www.uitv.org. That's
Nice.
www.uitv.org. Log on to that, and you should be able to catch the event via live stream if you can't
Nice.
physically make it down to the venue on the campus. Yeah?
Sounds great. Dr. Barnett, always a pleasure talking to you. As I said when I was introducing you earlier on, you're no stranger to Untengle. Thanks for always giving us your time and telling us what is happening culturally on campus and giving us, so much information. We thank you. Have again a wonderful celebration of African liberation.
Okay. Thank you, Mama Elise. Thank you very much.
Most welcome.
Yes.
Okay. And we did tell you that there are other celebrations locally and internationally as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity, and the 12 tribes of Israel are having an anniversary celebration, and it's also today, and it's at the HQ, which is 81 and 83 Hope Road in Kingston. They are also celebrating the 60th anniversary of the OAU, and as it says here, now functioning as the African Union.